mayonnaise in the hair, a toothbrush as a gift, telling a grown woman she had to shave her legs to earn a kiss. Big Ed Brown thought he was the prize. 5 years later, he can't even keep his Instagram comments turned on without strangers asking if he stopped abusing women. The woman he humiliated owns a multi-story house, a modelling career, and a peace of mind he will never afford. That's just villain number 1. Today we're going through the most despised people the 90-Day Fiancé franchise has ever produced. Let's start with the man who made mayonnaise a personality trait, Big Ed Brown. If you've watched even 10 minutes of this franchise, you know Big Ed. He flew to the Philippines to meet Rose Vega, a single mom younger than his own daughter, and proceeded to give us some of the most cringe-inducing television in TLC history. He berated her for bad breath and handed her a toothbrush and toothpaste like a party favour. He demanded she shave her legs in exchange for a kiss. He used mayonnaise to soften his hair, and he lied to her about his height, which, given everything else, was almost adorable in its pettiness. By some fans' measure, Ed is the biggest villain the franchise has ever produced. And here's the beautiful part: the universe agreed. After the Rose disaster, Ed somehow got a second chance with Liz Woods on The Single Life. He fumbled that too, making her feel unsupported, implying she should lose weight, and at one point accusing her of being a lesbian on national television. The man did not learn. He set himself on fire on Instagram. He got engaged to a superfan he met at a sandwich shop within 24 hours, describing her as a beautiful Italian dish, who walked in while he was carrying out sandwiches with sparklers. Ed built his entire brand on being a meme, over $100,000 on Cameo back in 2021. But his internet fame has been in steep decline. When his split with Liz was confirmed, fans stopped caring about his daily updates entirely. Meanwhile, Rose Vega, the woman he treated like a charity case, is thriving. She built a real modelling and influencer career, bought a multi-floor home for her family, partnered with beauty and dental brands, and dated a Melbourne businessman. She once joked that she owes her success to Big Ed. That's the most humbling part of all. He was the launchpad for the woman who got away. 2. Angela Deem. Now here's a villain who used to be a fan favourite. Angela Deem, the Georgia grandmother with no filter, was genuinely funny in the early days, and then the mask slipped. Her relationship with Michael Ilesanmi, her much younger Nigerian husband, curdled into something a lot of viewers found genuinely uncomfortable to watch. She controlled his social media. She told him he couldn't have an Instagram account while she posted non-stop. At one point in Nigeria, she tore apart his car in a rage. She was loud, she was controlling, and the cracks were impossible to ignore. Here's where karma clocked in for her shift. In February 2024, Michael fled their home, just months after moving in. Angela claimed he was missing and that she feared for his safety. Touching. Except when Michael resurfaced, he told a very different story, accusing her of abuse in his divorce filing. And after everything they'd watched on TV, a lot of fans sided squarely with Michael. Angela then pivoted to threatening to have Michael deported, alleging marriage fraud. Even as her own finances were reportedly falling apart, she admitted at one point to being lost and terrified over money problems. The divorce was finally finalized in March 2026, and Michael, he's living in his own apartment in Houston, Texas, landed a real job in America on his green card, and posted a celebration video after the divorce went through.
Yo fam, finally. I'm divorced. Here's the paperwork.
The man she tried to ship back to Nigeria is now thriving in the country she said he didn't belong in. As for Angela, her fame has been dwindling for a while now. The Queen Bee of TLC got dethroned and she knows it. Quick one before we get to the guy who's currently in prison for 18 years. If you're enjoying watching the universe hand out receipts, do me a favour and hit that subscribe button and smash the like. It genuinely helps the channel. Okay, back to it. 3. Geoffrey Paschel. Geoffrey appeared on Before the 90 Days Season 4 with Russian radio host Varya Malina, presenting himself as a smooth, charming guy whose legal troubles were all way back in his past. His criminal history stretched back to his teenage years, including drug convictions and prison time. But the thing that ended him wasn't ancient history. Just months before he started filming, Geoffrey brutally assaulted his then-girlfriend, and in 2022, he was found guilty of aggravated kidnapping, domestic assault, and interfering with an emergency call. The sentence: 18 years in prison. Fans were furious that TLC ever handed him a platform in the first place. He's currently locked up at Trousdale Turner Correctional Center in Hartsville, Tennessee. He won't be eligible for release until approximately 2039. And then in May 2026, Netflix dropped season 2 of its true crime docuseries Worst Ex Ever, produced by Blumhouse. Episode 2, titled Primetime Predator, was entirely about Geoffrey. It featured Kristen telling her story in her own words, along with testimony from his second ex-wife Sabrina, documenting a pattern of abuse across multiple relationships. The episode laid bare how a man with a criminal record stretching back decades somehow ended up on national television playing the romantic lead. And Varia, the woman he was courting on camera while facing kidnapping charges. She moved to Tennessee, got a green card through the diversity visa program, and has been managing Geoffrey's rental properties while he serves his sentence. She stood by him through every appeal, posted birthday tributes on Instagram, and was present at his sentencing. Or Colt Johnson, the Las Vegas software engineer, who lived with his mother Debbie and somehow made that his entire personality. Colt's villain era was a slow burn. With Larissa, he was passive-aggressive and weirdly proud of his behaviour. After they split, he dated a woman named Jess and cheated on her with another woman, Vanessa, who he then married in a wedding his mother basically arranged. He treated cheating like a personality flex, like it made him a player instead of a creep. His relationships were a revolving door of red flags, with Debbie standing in the doorway making everything worse. Now, I want to be careful here, because Colt's humbling took a genuinely rough turn. While filming The Last Resort and trying to repair things with Vanessa, after the two of them had already suffered a miscarriage, Colt took a serious fall that badly damaged his leg. Repeated injuries to the same limb led to a serious infection, and by 2024, he was reportedly facing the possibility of amputation. Colt spent years not learning how to treat the people around him. Life, in the harshest way imaginable, forced a reckoning. 5. Leida Margarita and Eric Rosenbrook. Leida Margarita is, on a lot of fans' lists, the single worst person to ever appear on this show. Her signature villain move was demanding that Eric cut off his own daughter, financially, emotionally gone. Reddit threads still name her as the gold standard of franchise awfulness, and the post-show story is genuinely dark. Leida has been arrested multiple times in Wisconsin on charges including bail jumping, identity theft, fraud, and domestic abuse. Eric hasn't been clean either. He's faced charges including domestic battery and disorderly conduct, but the most tragic chapter came in July 2025, when the couple's infant daughter died, a death later ruled non-accidental. I'm not going to make a single joke about this one, because there isn't one to make. It's just a heartbreaking outcome to a story that was ugly from the start. 6. Paul Staehle. Where do you even begin? The man who showed up to meet Karine in Brazil carrying a pregnancy test and a packet of his medical history like he was applying for a mortgage instead of a marriage. Paul hid a felony arson conviction from Karine. He was found guilty of second-degree arson and burning property to defraud an insurer. Their relationship became a years-long avalanche of restraining orders, wild accusations, and erratic social media meltdowns. He accused her of having their kids with another man. She accused him of abuse and admitted she'd lied. It was exhausting to watch and probably worse to live. Paul and Karine lost custody of their 2 sons after their split, and while Karine at least expressed remorse over the situation, Paul shocked fans by joking about the whole ordeal, which tells you everything about why people stopped rooting for him a long time ago. A man who couldn't stop sabotaging his own life on camera ended up losing the thing that mattered most and treated it like a punchline. The internet did not laugh with him. 7. Larissa Lima. Who is against the Queen will die. That's the line that made Larissa Lima a franchise legend. And a cautionary tale. Larissa was Colt's other half in one of the most toxic relationships the show ever aired, and her anger didn't stay on screen. She was arrested 3 separate times for domestic violence in the span of about 7 months. The first was just 5 days before her wedding to Colt. One altercation left both of them bloodied. She set up a GoFundMe for bail money. At one point, she was detained by ICE and genuinely feared deportation. She managed to dodge the worst outcomes. The charges were eventually reduced. She avoided jail with community service and counselling, and she got to stay in the United States. Her children remained in Brazil, never joining her in America, a gap many connect to her temper and her record. The self-proclaimed queen built a kingdom out of conflict, and conflict is exactly what it cost her. 8. Jorge Nava. Jorge Nava lied to Anfisa about being rich, drove a flashy lifestyle he couldn't actually afford. Then, in February 2018, police pulled him over and found nearly 300 pounds of marijuana in his car. He was looking at decades. His lawyer wrangled it down to a 2.5-year sentence. And here's where Jorge's story splits from everyone else's. Because prison genuinely humbled him into a better person. He lost over 120 pounds behind bars, dropping from 275 down to the 130s through diet and discipline. He became a model inmate, but the relationship didn't survive. While he was inside, Anfisa moved on, told him she didn't want to be with him anymore, and got involved with someone else. Jorge found out on social media. He filed for divorce the moment he got out. Jorge actually rebuilt. He chased his dream of running a cannabis farm, legally this time, started a business in the industry, and now has 2 kids with his girlfriend, Rhoda. He called his current life a dream. Anfisa, for her part, walked away too and reinvented herself as a professional bodybuilder, which brings us to her. 9. Anfisa Arkhipchenko. Anfisa was the franchise's original gold digger, and she said it out loud. She liked Jorge for his money, assumed he liked her for her looks, and the two of them spent 2 seasons screaming at each other. She smashed his phone. She flashed the cameras in a fit of rage. She was, by her own admission, not there for love. When Jorge went to prison, and she was suddenly alone in a foreign country, she didn't melt down on Instagram for clout. She poured everything into the gym. She became a certified personal trainer, built a workout program, and transformed her body for the NPC bikini division, competing as a professional bodybuilder. She walked away from the franchise entirely. The gold digger who married for a green card ended up being one of the few cast members to leave the circus and build something real with her own 2 hands. Humbled, sure, but she turned the humbling into a comeback.